Sometimes I get this huge urge to just turn around all of my unread books on my bookshelves. I think I've done this maybe twice in the past, and now it's time. I'm feeling like it. And if you are wondering why, it's fun. I like the look of it, and it makes me excited and even more enthusiastic about reading what I already own. There's something very satisfying about finally getting to a book and being able to turn it back. And I don't know for how long we'll keep it this way, but for now, this is what I'm feeling. So we're going to remove all the trinkets and just get to it. We're going to explore these shelves a little bit, and I'm also going to take this opportunity to do some cleaning because they need it very much. From this pile, I see that I've read most of these. I've read the Divine Rivals duology. I'm not sure if that's the name. Legends and Lattes I've read as well. So what haven't I read? I haven't read Ace of Spades. This one I had heard a lot about during some years here on BookTube. I can't remember exactly when that was that people started really hyping this one up. I'm still very excited to read it, but this one isn't read. And then what else? The Giver. Yes, this is supposedly a classic that I just haven't gotten around to. I've been lacking a little bit with my reading of middle grade / young adult books, so here I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot that I haven't read. This book, I wanted to give it a little shout out because it was actually sent to me by the author, which is very kind. It is called The Crooked Little Pieces by Sophia Lambton, and I still need to read it, but it was so incredibly kind of her, and the cover is very pretty. And other than that, I have read the Nevermore books. I love Nevermore and Wondersmith. I still have not continued with the series. Not sure why, it just hasn't happened yet. I have read Inkheart actually, but I am planning to reread it for a Patreon vlog. The Little Prince and the first book of the series of Unfortunate Events. So we're not that bad, but I feel like I need to start reading a bit more middle grade. There was a time in my reading journey where I really loved these books. Even when I started my channel, I was reading a lot more of these, and sometimes I miss them. So these books look like the most adorable thing in the world, and everyone keeps telling me that I'm going to love them. Moominland Midwinter and Moomin Valley in November. This, I think it's appealing to me to read maybe during this fall / winter season. They look so cute. I also think I'm going to be obsessed with them. So these are two of my priorities of this shelf, but also these two. We have Pet and Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi. I hear nothing but glowing reviews about these books. I've never read anything by the author, but I also have a good feeling. I feel like I'm going to enjoy their books, and they keep staring at me. These are also gorgeous covers, by the way. I love them. Alright, let's move you a little bit downstairs to this shelf, which is starting on a positive note because I almost dropped them, but I've read the first two books that I had there. Fourth Wing, Yes, I've read it. This is not really to my taste, but it is one of my best friend's favorite books. So of course I read it for her, and I just love how excited she gets whenever there's a new book in this series released. I don't think I will ever get rid of this because it was a very thoughtful gift from her. Not really my style, but that's perfectly fine. I'm glad she loves it. And then we also have The Spell Shop, which I recently read, and it was such a heartwarming book. I need to read. I'm not sure if it is a sequel. I keep saying this, I feel like, but there is The Enchanted Greenhouse, I think that's the title. I'm not sure if that's a sequel or a companion novel, but I certainly want to read that one because this was so cute. Then we have this dust jacket, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. I have this one because I'm currently reading it for another vlog. I'll just place it very carefully here. The Bird King, I tried reading it once and wasn't really in the mood for it, I don't think, so I'll have to try it again. One that I would like to pick up soon-ish is this one, A Song of Raids and Ruin, which, again, the cover is just stunning. It reminds me again of some older times on BookTube. I feel like this series also had a lot of love back then, and I have always been intrigued. There are a lot of fantasy books on my shelf that I still haven't read, and this is one of them, but I'm really looking forward to reading it eventually. It is stunning. I'm looking at the chapter pages. This is so pretty. I feel like it is mandatory to give a shout out to this beautiful Hunger Games series editions. These are just perfect. I am in love with them. This was a very kind gift from my mom. They look so beautiful together. I love them so much. I did read the original trilogy a long time ago. I've actually been meaning to reread them. Honestly, I'm in love. I've been meaning to reread them for a long time now, so who knows, maybe soon? Because I kind of miss them. I've read them so long ago, and I do still have to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Songbirds and Snakes, and the new one, Sunrise on the Reaping. Is that the name? I think so. Still haven't read those two, but I would like to reread the trilogy and then move on to those sequels as well. Some books I decide to not turn around ever because they're more collector's edition, like this one. This is called Deadlier, 100 of the best crime stories written by women, chosen by Sophie Hannah. And the thing is, I'm obviously not going to read this one front to back, so this will just stay unturned. And I will just read it at a slower pace. This must be an amazing collection. Also, look at this cover. It is so beautiful. Another gift by one of you, by the way, because you are the best. Just look at that. This might be the one with the most unread books so far. Which I was expecting because I don't read thriller/horror all that much, though it's a genre that I really love, but when it comes to books, I'm not sure why I don't pick them up more often. But some priorities here. Interview with the Vampire, which I always say I'm going to read during this spooky season, still hasn't happened. And also The Woman in White, which I keep saying I'm going to read for Victober, still hasn't happened either. The most recently added books to my shelves were these beautiful editions of Claire Keegan's books. This was a belated birthday gift from my dear friend Sophia from SusanReads. So obviously I still haven't read them, but I wanted to give them a shout out because they're beautiful and because I'm pretty sure I'm going to love them. I recently posted a video showing these and a lot of people told me that I would probably love these, especially Foster, I think. Though I am looking forward to reading all of them, honestly, because I was talking about how I love introspective stories after reading The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro and loving it. And apparently her stories have a similar tone to them, so I'm looking forward to reading these. But as far as read books for this shelf, we have Bubble by R.F. Kuang. I recently got a beautiful edition of Catabasis. Let me show you actually. It's this beautiful one. Oh my god, I'm in love. This book has been receiving a lot of mixed reviews, but that's okay. I really enjoy R.F. Kuang's writing, but most of all, I just really like her. I really like her as a person. She recently came to Lisbon and I went to see her with a dear friend of mine and it was amazing. We were kind of hoping to get a book signed, but honestly it was impossible. The line was crazy. So this was also a recent edition, but yes, I've read Babel and The Last Tale of the Flower Bride as well, and Stoner by John Williams. Speaking of introspective stories, this one truly fits that tone as well, and I really loved it. I have a lot of annotations. This is one book that I could see myself rereading at some point. Oh, and down here, you can barely see them, but we also have The Iliad Crest, which I've read, Little by Edward Carey, Perfume, Possession. I've also read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I didn't like, and I keep debating on whether or not I should unhaul it. But for some reason, I never find the right reason to do so, because I didn't like it, but I feel like I still want to keep it. Maybe it's because I still haven't read The Secret History, and I don't know, maybe that makes no sense, but I still want to keep it, at least for now. And I believe that's it. So we definitely have a few unread books on this shelf as well. The ones that I'm most looking forward to reading, I mean, other than the ones that I've mentioned already, which I definitely am, I also have The Will of the Many, which a lot of people have been loving recently. And then again, I've been meaning to read more fantasy, so I really want to read it as well. My friend who went with me to see R.F. Kuang was reading The Will of the Many, and she said it was great. So that's another motivation for sure. But I pretty much want to read all of these, of course. Those two shelves are pretty much done, so now I'm moving up to these two up here. This one has a lot of my classics. Most of them are children's classics, and I think I've read almost everything that's on this shelf, except for a few books that I will show you in a second. And here we have one of my Tolkien shelves, and I actually think there's only 2 books that I haven't read here. I think that's right. Yes, so these are the only ones that I haven't read from this shelf. So we have The Hobbits of Tolkien by David Day. I love this edition. I mean, all Tolkien's books that I own, I love every single one of them because I found them so beautiful, and especially when they look close together, it's magic. So that's the first one, and I also have The Fall of Numenor, which is one of those bigger kind of history books about Middle-earth and everything that he wrote. And then again, can we just take a moment to appreciate the illustrations? They are so stunning. But yes, these are the only ones, because other than that, I have The Hobbit and the whole trilogy. And then also The Nature of Middle-earth, which I have read, and I have some annotations, and also The Silmarillion, which I've also read. And this one I would love to reread eventually once I read more books by him, because I feel like the first time I read it, I missed a lot of things, which, to be honest, I feel like it's normal, because this is almost as if it is the Bible of this world. And I loved it, but it's definitely a reread material. I feel like you can get a lot of new things anytime you read this one, so we're not gonna turn around a lot of books in these two shelves, I feel like. So let's see. From this pile, I've read all of these. Yes, so the only one I haven't read from here is The Call of the Wild, as far as children's classics. I tried it once, couldn't really get into it, but I need to try it at some point eventually. And also Great Expectations, which also comes in this stunning edition. Another one of those books that I keep saying I will read during Victober, and it still hasn't happened, but it's here. Then on this pile, I've read almost all of them as well, except for King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, exactly. So this is the only one. I really like these editions, by the way. They have gorgeous illustrations as well, but it's really the only one. Next, we also have these editions. Oh, actually, my favorite edition of them all, I feel like, is this one of Heidi by Joanna Spyri. There's a whole collection of children's classics. I believe it is focused on female protagonists, and I mean, how can you not love this cover? They all have a similar style. Exactly. It is called the Sisterhood collection, I believe. And they all have a similar illustration to this one. Look at the spine as well. I absolutely adore this. And it is one of my favorite books of all time. So there you go. I've read all of these except Tales of the Greek Heroes. And then here, I found this edition of Heidi. Let's see. Yes, it is in Italian, although I didn't buy it in Italy, I bought it in Switzerland, of course. And then we also have, I want to show you this beautiful collection of Beatrix Potter's stories, which I still need to read this edition in particular, although I've read a few of her stories from other books and I absolutely adore them. I mean, how can you not? But this one in particular I haven't read. And then I also haven't read Spring Story. This is a very cute short book that I need to read. Similar, I feel like, in style to Beatrix Potter's ones. Look how adorable that is. And then unread, I also have Moonfleet by J. Mead Faulkner, which I don't really know what it is about. I found it at a sale. I believe it was last year during Lisbon's book fair, along with some other editions like these ones. If you bought 3, or rather you could get 3 of these books for the price of 2. So of course I took the opportunity, but other than that, it's all read on this shelf. Now we get to one of my favorite corners in my bookshelves. Of course, I love all of them, but this has a lot of these stunning new editions of Wordsworth classics, and I love these so much. They look beautiful together with all the spines. I also have some special editions of Pride and Prejudice. This one with some recipes from Martha Stewart. It has a lot of fun ideas and illustrations as well. I mean, just look at that. It's so cute. I've never actually tried anything from this book, which is just wrong. And of course, this one, an illustrated edition of the book. I'm in love with it. My dear friend Sarah gifted this one to me, and it has a lot of illustrations all around. Just look at that. And they are interactive sometimes. Wait, let me try and show you. There you go. The vintage collection from Jane Austen's novels is also one of my most prized possessions. These tabs are for when I started reading Mansfield Park and then it just never ended up happening. This is the only one by Jane Austen that I still need to read, at least of the full novels. Welcome! Welcome to the Fantasy Corner. Welcome to a little fantasy corner. It's not the only one, but we're gonna do these two shelves now. I've read Fire and Blood by George R. Martin, which is a beast, but if you are interested in the history of Westeros and specifically the Targaryen family, would highly recommend. A Game of Thrones, I want to shout out this edition because I just have to. It's so stunning. I have been meaning to reread these books for ages now. Actually, only own this one. I did own the Portuguese editions of the entire series, but I unhauled them, and I'm hoping to buy the black paperbacks. Those are very pretty. But yes, back at the time, I did read the books, loved them. I watched the show, loved it up until season 5 or 6. But I have been meaning, just like with the Hunger Games, to reread this series because I miss this world and these characters. Will we ever get the final book? I don't know, but I'm very grateful for what we have. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I've tried reading this one maybe 3 times now, and I never get the heart to really give up on it, which might sound silly, but I really thought I was going to enjoy the series, and at least this first book I could not really connect with. I'm not ready to give up on this series just yet, even though I've tried the first book 3 times, I know, but maybe you could give me some better advice. Should I just skip this trilogy and move on to some of her other books? I feel like I might just do that. I don't know. It makes me sad. These covers are beautiful as well, and I really thought I was going to enjoy these books, but I don't know. I don't really know what to do, so this is the only thing I've read by her. I don't know what my next steps should be. Red Sister is a book that I never know if I should read or not, because I'm not sure if it is exactly my taste. If you kind of know me and what my reading taste is like, let me know if this is something I would enjoy, because I'm not sure. The Lies of Locke Lamora, absolutely loved. Still need to read the sequel. The Eye of the World, I still need to read. I'm trying to find the courage to finally dive into this gigantic series. I've read Guards by Terry Pratchett and really enjoyed it. I don't think I'm as much of a fan as many other people are, but I really liked it. So I ended up buying the second-hand edition of Small Gods as well, because I would like to read some more books from this series. I also have The Mists of Avalon. I know it has a lot of problems, but I think it was my mom's favorite series for a while there, and she very kindly gifted me these books. And then I have this cute one with Tyrion Lannister's wit and wisdom, which is very funny, and I love it. So right over here we have one of my favorite series, the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. There you go. This is Era 1, and the series that got me into fantasy. I was completely obsessed with these books. I read them a few years ago. I already had my booktube channel, and loved them. Loved them so much. My favorite book, funnily enough, is the one that usually people find very boring, which is The Well of Ascension. Absolutely adore this book. I love all of them, but the second is definitely my favorite one. Sometimes I think about rereading this series as well. There's just so little time for the amount of books that you want to read. I've also read and really enjoyed the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Then again, I want to read more books by him. I do own The Heroes and A Little Hatred, so they will be read at some point. I actually need to check the reading order again because there are so many books in this world and I never know exactly what the next one is, but either way, I really want to get to them. I've also read and really enjoyed The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I would say I would need to reread this one at some point in order to continue with the other books because I do own the sequels. These were a very kind gift as well, but I feel like I need to remind myself of a few details. Still need to read Kings of the Wild and the sequel as well, and we might as well move on to the rest of the fantasy shelf. Here there's a lot of things that I want to read, mainly The Name of the Wind. I would say that this in this shelf is the one that I want to read the most. I feel like I'm going to love this series. Also obsessed with these covers as well. They are so pretty. I just feel like these will become favorites. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's something about it that appeals to me. I know it has a lot to do with music as well, so that just sounds right. I also have The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I've never read anything by him, nor of Ursula K. Le Guin, which is an author that intimidates me a little bit, but I do want to try her work, of course. Then we have another one of my favorites. This is definitely not for everyone, but I adore it, absolutely. And it is the Blackthorn and Grimm trilogy by Juliet Marillier. I've also read Daughter of the Forest and Son of the Shadows, which are books in the Seven Waters series. Still need to read the third one, as well as all of these. No, I've read Wildwood Dancing by Juliet Marillier as well. And moving on to another Tolkien shelf in all its glory. I absolutely adore this edition. Letters from Father Christmas is one of my favorites. I've also read, I think it was 2 of these books maybe in this box. I will keep it just like this, and I'll see which ones I still need to read. And these 2 books I found semi-recently. We have the Tolkien Reader, Stories, Poems and Commentaries by the author of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and then also The Shaping of Middle-earth. It's a very cute collection. It has a lot of other books. Still need to read his biography as well, which I need to do as soon as possible because it must be fascinating. I've read all of these except for Tolkien on Fairy Tales and also the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, which I feel like, I think if I had to pick one that I'm most excited about, I think maybe it would be this one on this shelf. This one will have a mixture of a lot of things, just general fiction and some historical fiction as well, but it actually does have some of my favorite books. This one I still have to read, but things like Chocolate by Joanne Harris, I love this book. I love the book, I love the movie, I keep talking about it. It's such a comforting story to me. Sometimes I wish I lived in a similar village and also opened a little store. Who knows? Maybe it will happen sometime. But you know, a little bookstore that also sells coffee and cookies and tea and has some fun events like watch-alongs and book clubs discussions. Tipping the Velvets I also read and enjoyed. I would like to try more books by the author, so if you've read anything by Sarah Waters that you think I might enjoy, please do give me recommendations as to which book I should read next by her. The Unbearable Lightness of Being. This is funny because when I was a teenager, it was one of those books that I had on my priority list because everyone who seemed smart had read it at some point. This sounds so silly now, but at the time that's what I thought. Never read it, and since then I've heard quite a few mixed reviews. Frederick Bachman, I need to read more of his books. I've read A Man Called Uva, I think that's how you say it, and I've also read Beartown, which is right here, and I also read one of my favorite books that I do not own, but it is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. That book
absolutely broke me. I was never the same since listening to that audiobook. I swear to you, it's a lot. But it's beautiful, and I do not have it. I wish I did, because it's such a short little novella that really packs a punch, let me tell you. I have quite a few read books on this shelf, which is kind of a surprise. But I'm glad. This is a little book called Lost for Words. I had never heard about this one before, but I found it in one of those blind date with the books things, which I love, by the way, and ended up really liking it. So sometimes I really miss that feeling of buying a book at complete random chance that I had never seen anything about, because you can really find some surprises. This is another one, actually. It is called To Capture What We Cannot Keep, and at the time I really enjoyed it. I barely remember anything about the plot of both of them, but I do know that I really like them. This is a beautiful book called Miss Austen by Jill Hornby. I still need to read this one, but I've always adored this cover. It just has so many elements that I love. Another one of my favorites is Burial Rites by Anna Kent. I think about this book on a regular basis. It's insane. When I read it, it was chosen by my patrons for our TBR jar, and I'm so glad it was, because I don't think I would have picked it up by myself, but it was a gigantic surprise, and I think about it constantly. Another one that will probably make you question a lot of things. It's another one of those books that I keep saying I love, because it's very introspective and there's something big internally going on, and I just adored it so much. Another cute book. I have a lot of books here that I like. It's fun to once in a while just revisit your own bookshelves and remind yourself of how much you love certain stories. But either way, the Jane Austen Society. This is not a mind-blowing book or anything like that, but it's just a cozy little story of Jane Austen fans, and that's just delightful. I remember really liking it when I read it as well. Another favorite, which I also hesitate a little bit to say that I love because it's such a hard topic, this is My Dark Vanessa. And I don't recommend this book lightly, but if it's something that you think you can read about, then definitely pick it up. And then finally I have Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang, which I still need to read. Since we're here, might as well do these shelves right below. Here, then again, I have one of my favorite collections. There you go. The classics, the Blank Penguins editions. I love these, and I do prefer the older version where they had the red lettering instead of the white one, but it is what it is. Now I have to say, this is one of those shelves where I will have a lot of unread books, so more options to read in the future, of course. If I had to talk about maybe a favorite on this shelf, let me see. Of course, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Julius Caesar by Shakespeare I also really liked. I'm gonna say Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte because I still feel like it needs more love. And then out of these big Russian classics, hold on, right here I have read Crime and Punishment and also Anna Karenina, so I still have to read War and Peace, Life and Fate, Dr. Zhivago and The Master and Margarita. All of those I really want to get to at some point. These editions are also some of my favorites. I feel like I say this about so many of them, but classics just have the best. Down here I also have a mix of different things. I have some Portuguese classics that I can also show you. Mainly books by José Saramago. I have these stunning editions. They're very minimalistic, but I've always enjoyed them, and I'm trying to slowly collect them. Every time I go to the Lisbon Book Fair, they always have at least one that's on sale, so I slowly collect them because they look so good together. I really enjoy this author and want to read more things by him because I've only read, I believe, 3 books so far.
I have some more modern classics and some general fiction as well. The ones that I will say are some of the most beautiful ones are these vintage editions. This is Beloved by Toni Morrison. Love this cover. Need to get to this book as soon as possible. And I also have these beautiful editions of Virginia Woolf's novels. I have read To the Lighthouse and A Room of One's Own, and I love both of them, so I definitely want to read more by her as well. I actually thought I would have many more unread books from my Black Penguin Classics collection, but it's not looking too bad actually. I own quite a few of them and I only have 7 unread books, so that's kind of good. And now we're going to finish this bookshelf right here with my Oxford collection. Now this one will look much worse, I'm pretty sure of that. Because I do, well, actually, this one I've read, but I do own quite a lot of classics in this collection, which I love. These are also some of my favorite editions. I feel like I say this about all of my classics because they're all so beautiful. Then we also have the Penguin paperbacks, of course. We'll get there. But these ones, I do own quite a few that I haven't read yet. Mostly because a lot of these intimidate me a little bit. Of course, I want to get to them at some point, but for instance, we do have The Count of Monte Cristo, we have The Mysteries of Udolpho, we have The Flowers of Evil, some Gothic classics as well that I've been meaning to read every single October and it still hasn't happened. Some big books like that I'm looking forward to reading, but it just hasn't happened yet, so that shelf will look a little bit more unread, I would say. And then, of course, then again, we will move on to my Penguin English Library Classics, which then again are stunning. These, I think, are the ones that I've started collecting first, because these are the editions that I fell in love with first as well. And I don't regret anything. I love looking at them so much. I might rearrange a few things here and there, but for now I'm just going to clean everything and put them back on the shelves. I also want to talk about this book for a minute, because this is called Ex Libris, 100 and plus books to read and reread. And this is basically a recommendations guide about books that apparently are mandatory for you to read. It has tons of different recommendations and it is such a beautiful book. It has some illustrations along the way with some book covers and art, and I really love it. I wish I did have a place where it stood out a little bit more, so I might do that as well. But for now, it remains here with my classics. I just thought it needed its moment because it's so pretty. Novels and memoirs by some of today's most gifted writers, favorite classics worth reading or rereading, and non-fiction works that illuminate our social and political landscape, and such pressing issues as climate change, medicine, and the consequences of digital innovation. It's a collection made by Michiko Kakutani, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning literary critic, in case you are curious. And I feel like it's also mandatory for me to shout out this beautiful collection of one of my favorite classics, Middlemarch by George Eliot. This is the 150th anniversary edition, and look how beautiful that is. I love it so much. I've actually been meaning to reread this book for a while now. I hope it happens sooner than later, but you know, there's so many books to read. And I did see it coming. This is definitely one of the most unread shelves, for sure. Then here we start with my other Penguin classics, and we'll see how this area goes. But for these ones, my priority for this year is definitely The Count of Monte Cristo. I am going to read it this year. But if I had to pick another one, let's see. Right, this is also another one that I keep saying I will read in October, The Monk by Matthew Lewis. It sounds like a very good spooky read for this time of the year, so maybe this one as well. we are officially on the final white bookshelf before we move on to these little cute brown ones. And we might as well continue with this one right here, which then again has this stunning classic editions, of course. This is one of my priorities of this shelf, Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, because I did read North and South a few years ago, loved it, so this is next on my list. But if I stick to my plan, the first book that I will finally pick up from the ones that I haven't read yet will be Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, because it's the only one by her that I still haven't read. I keep saying this, I know, but I feel like I'm going to love it. So this needs to happen at some point. I'm not sure if this will be this year or the next one, but sooner than later, because I just need to do this. A Room with a View by E.M. Forster I did read a few years ago and really liked it. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. This is my love, my baby. I love it so much. It is definitely my favorite book from the Bronte sisters. I love Anne's voice as an author. I only wish we had more books by her. I did also read Agnes Grey and really enjoyed it, but The Tenant of Wildfell Hall is one of my favorite classics. It's such an underrated novel, I feel like, yet. Our Tent by E.M. Forster. Still need to read this one as well. Frankenstein. I keep mentioning this, and I mentioned this quite recently in another video, but I cannot believe I haven't read this one sooner. It has become one of my all-time favorite books. It is an absolute masterpiece, and if for some reason, like me, you are also delaying it a little bit, you keep postponing it, you say you will read it, but you end up not doing so, please do it. It's so good. And so is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, of course. Wuthering Heights. I would say this is my second favorite, or maybe it's tied with The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I adore both of these books for different reasons. They are definitely my favorite Bronte novels. If you ask me on different days, I might tell you that this is my favorite. So, Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. This is still my favorite book by this author. I've been hosting, and we are almost at the end, by the way, a Thomas Hardy read-along with my dear friend Milena from SusanReads. We've recently read Far from the Madding Crowd, which I also enjoyed, but Tess, I feel like, will always be my favorite. And we have Emma by Jane Austen, which I have, of course, read and loved. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I need to read it as soon as possible as well, since I loved To the Lighthouse so much and was very pleasantly surprised. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I feel like this is usually the favorites from a lot of people. I guess I have kind of an unpopular opinion with this one. I think the writing is beautiful. I really enjoy Jane's character, but I don't really love the story nor the romance. I cannot really get myself to love this book as much as so many other people do. Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens is one that I have read, but would like to reread at some point because it's been a very, very long time. Middlemarch, of course, with all the annotations. Then again, I would love to reread this one at some point. I don't know when that will happen, but I would love to. Now that I've read more classics and more books in general, I would love to read this one again and maybe get some more things from it. I don't know. I feel like this would be an amazing rereading experience. And then, of course, Mansfield Park, which, then again, it's the only Jane Austen that I need to read. So this is really not looking bad. Look at that. I mean, we have 4 books unread on this shelf. That's amazing, I think, and a good contrast to what's happening over here. Might as well bring you down a little bit so we can take a quick look at these 2 small shelves. This one has a lot of my Greek mythology inspired books. Some of them are even non-fiction, like this one, which is kind of a collection of Greek tales. It says The Complete and Definitive Edition by Robert Graves. I would love to read this one. I'm not sure if I would read it front to back, like in a row, because I don't have a lot of knowledge about Greek mythology, so I feel like this would be one of those slower reads where I would pick it up whenever I felt like it, but it sounds like such a beautiful book. We also have a book about Egyptian mythology. I went through a huge phase where I was fascinated by everything related to Egypt and its mythology, and I still kind of am, low-key. I still love that. Haven't read this one either, but I want to at some point. And then we have some Madeline Miller books. We also have The Silence of the Girls, Cassandra as well. And then some books that don't have really anything to do with that topic. We have some of these kind of smaller classic. These editions are very cute. I really like them. And out of these, the only one I've read is also one of my favorite books, so that's a win. And that is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This, in my eyes, is also a masterpiece. This took me very much by surprise because I didn't really know what to expect from this. And it was one of those experiences where I was reading the book, and as I was reading it, I knew it would become a favorite. So that's one of the best feelings. And for some reason, I still haven't read anything else by James Baldwin, which is just wrong. And if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. And I also have these two stunning Portuguese classics. I also love these editions. They are kind of like pocket editions, I would say. Very, very floppy paperbacks, and they fit everywhere. And also the lettering size is perfect. This is rare for me to find in smaller editions of books. But yes, these are two books by the Portuguese writer Dulce Maria Cardoso, whose books I would recommend if you are looking to read some books from Portugal maybe. Here I have some more editions of classics as well. These are the Alma classics. Is that the name? I think so. Almost all of these actually were very kind gifts from my mom. She kind of found these editions and started gifting me one like every few months or so, which was very sweet of her. So these are pretty much all gifts. I also have this stunning box of Charles Dickens books, which I'm gonna leave it as it is, even though I haven't read Great Expectations nor Hard Times, but I will keep the box like this. This was a stunning gift from Milena and Boy, which I'm so thankful for. I mean, look at that. Let me try and get some of them out so you can see the editions. They each have different patterns and look so beautiful together. I absolutely adore this collection. If I were to choose a book right now from all of these shelves that I would say I want to prioritize, maybe it would be The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, mainly because this is a favorite for a lot of my friends actually, so that always intrigues me a lot. It makes me want to read the books even more. Plus it is such a short but supposedly impactful book, so I would say this one for sure. We made it to our final little corner of these bookshelves. These are my smaller brown bookshelves. I really love this corner. This is the color that I would like to one day for all of my bookshelves to have. It reminds me of trees and nature, and I just love it. These brown shelves, what they mostly have are art books, which I'm not gonna touch. You can kind of see them here. I have a lot of paintings / photography books that I will not really move. I will just clean them a little bit, but they will stay exactly where they are. I also have a lot of my secondhand editions of classics. Most of them are older editions like this one that I find on secondhand bookstores, which is one of my favorite things to do, and usually I keep them at this special place. I also have some non-fiction books and also a few dedicated to nature and mythology as well, which are all areas that I love exploring and having in my collection. So now it's time to get through all of these and then we will be done. So let's start with these classics right here. I don't have a particular criteria when I pick these books. If they are at a secondhand store for a cheap price, I basically grab them. Unless it's something that I really don't have any interest in reading, but they are usually very cheap. And if you buy more than one, you get amazing sales as well. And I love collecting them. They smell They smell like old libraries, so that's one of the collections that I like having. Then we also have the older Oxford World's Classics. Look at them. They are so pretty. This is one that I also want to read as soon as possible. Most of them are, of course. It's that usual problem, isn't it? So many books, so little time. Another version of the Wordsworth Classics. This is David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, which, apart from Great Expectations, is the one that I need to prioritize because I have a lot of friends who love this book, so sometimes I find these cute little books as well. These are both editions of Penguin Classics. This one in particular is the Penguin Modern Classics edition of The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I've never read anything by her. I always say I need to fix that. Then let's see. Oh yes, I also found this edition of The Virgin in the Garden by A.S. Byatt because I've read Possession by the same author and really enjoyed it. And then randomly, right after I finished that book, it might have been maybe a couple of days later or so, I found it again at a secondhand bookstore and it felt like destiny. So I just grabbed it. This is the King Penguin edition. Is that it? Yes, a King Penguin. I'm not sure I have any other books from this collection, but I really like it as well. There's just something about all of these older editions that I really adore, and I'm not sure if that's because of the illustrations they have, or maybe, I don't know, there's something about the way they are edited that is very charming. I don't know, they look so good together. You know what I mean? They have such a unique look to them. I don't know. There's something about them that I just love. Now, right here, these are Barnes & Noble's classics. These, I believe, are the only ones that I haven't found at a secondhand bookstore. These I bought directly at Barnes & Noble when I visited the United States. Completely worth it. I love these editions and I cannot find them anywhere else. So I have the Fairy Tales collection by Hans Christian Andersen, which I love so much. And then another book which has 3 stories by Henry James, and I've read The Turn of the Screw. This one also has the Aspern Papers and 2 stories, so I need to read the rest for sure. Another big pile of Penguin classics, my loves. And to finish this part of classics, I also found this random book, but I felt like I needed to have it. It is the Concise Oxford Dictionary of Opera by Harold Rosenthal and John Warwick. I love opera. I was a music student for years. I'm planning to maybe go back eventually. I miss it so much. But yes, music plays a big part in my life, so I couldn't really resist getting this edition. And here is where my nonfiction collection starts, but before that we still have one more little shelf of classics. This one is a very unique edition of The Bell by Iris Murdoch. It felt like an old library book. I could not resist, really. These are the Penguin Popular Classics, which I also love. I cannot really decide which one of all of these are my favorite editions, but this is one that I own a lot of books of. And then I was lucky enough to find both of these, the Barnes & Noble Classics. These ones I did find at a thrift shop, which is amazing. This one, The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, I also keep saying I will read some of their books around October. Still hasn't happened. Who knows, maybe this will be the year. Some non-fiction here that I love. If you enjoy, like me, reading some autobiographies of people that you admire, I have Julie Andrews' Home and Viola Davis's Finding Me. Staring at my non-fiction collection makes me very happy because there's so much to learn out there. I can mention a few, but honestly, I'm so excited to read all of them. One of the most recent ones that I received, again from Milena as well, this is Jane Austen's Bookshelf, The Women Writers Who Shaped a Legend by Rebecca Romney. This looks and sounds amazing. Another one that I've owned for a little while is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. She just left everything and went on this big journey alone, all by herself. I feel like this book will be kind of eye-opening and inspiring to me. On a different note, I also have Silk Roads by Peter Frankopan. This says a new history of the world, and this author has a lot of history books that I believe talk about different parts and different continents of the world and their culture and everything. So this is, again, all of these sound amazing. I just love my nonfiction collection. Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley must be amazing as well. And so many more over there. I mean, I never know exactly when it comes to nonfiction what my mood will look like. With me being such a mood reader, it always really depends. On one day I could be reading a memoir, on the next day I'm reading a book about the history of the world, the next one I'm reading about the power of walking and taking alone moments to yourself, and then on the next one I'm reading a very stressful but insightful book about climate change and what we can do to hopefully change things. So you know, there's a lot and I love all of them. We are pretty much done. I am not going to touch on these shelves because I just like the way they look too much. This is kind of a decorative part of the bookshelves, I would say. Fun fact, if you are curious, this is the first ever mug that I did on a ceramics workshop. It was so much fun, and of course it has a lot of imperfections. Even the lettering is a little crooked. It does say gamer though, so yes, it's very imperfect, but I adore it so much, and it was so much fun to actually make something myself, and knowing that I can use it for whatever purpose is amazing. I've since then done another ceramic workshop, and I plan to do more in the future. This was such a cute gift from a friend. It says my channel name. So it is a personalized candle. Let me show you how stunning it is inside. She knows me too well, as you can probably guess. Oh, this smells so nice. I wish you could smell it. Another mug with some bookmarks, a small ARP that I bought in Ireland, and then, you know, we have some stunning books here as well. So I really do not want to touch this area. These are some fairy tale / nature books that I mentioned. I have read a few of these, others are on my to-be-read plans, but I'm gonna keep it as it is because I love it too much. And there you have it, we are done. I know a lot of people find this look a little weird, and that's totally fine. To me, it is just fun, and it gives a very insightful perspective on which books I still need to read. It doesn't make me feel pressured at all, only more excited to get to all of these one day. And I was also surprised at how many books I had read per shelf in some cases. The non-fiction book is definitely the one that's looking more unread. And right next to that, I would say definitely my Oxford classics. But other than that, I feel like we have a very healthy mix. Then again, I miss that feeling of reading a book and then because of that, being able to turn it back around. It's very satisfying. And if you'd like to try this at some point, I would highly recommend, even if you don't do it for all of your shelves. As you saw, I did keep a few books like they were because I just like the look of it. So if you'd like to try it, maybe give it a shot and see if you like it. But for now, this is what they will look like for a while, and I'm very, very happy with that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If at any point during this video you saw some of your favorites that I still haven't read, I would love to know. Please recommend me or let me know which ones I should prioritize. I definitely have a few in mind that I would like to read sooner than later. But yes, if you saw anything that you think I should read immediately, I would also love to hear about that. Thank you so much for being here in this cozy corner of the internet. I'm sending you all such a big hug. I really hope you're all having a wonderful week, and I will see you again hopefully very soon. Bye everyone!